this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these, some of you, I think many of you know it, and it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes the
What are you pushing into the skin, Sandra? Carrie? What are you pushing into the skin?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
They laughed about it. On national television, Ellen DeGeneres sat there while her guest described extracting biological material from infants and injecting it into their skin. And nobody stopped the camera.
Her stories have changed so many times about what happens, when it happens, how it happens, with different versions.
That's Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who trafficked hundreds of girls for Jeffrey Epstein, speaking under oath. And according to newly unsealed court documents, she didn't just talk about Virginia Giuffre. She talked about rituals, she talked about celebrities, and she named Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States.
Ellen fled the country, changed her appearance, sold everything, and swore she's never coming back. But here's what nobody is connecting. A judge just ordered an arrest, and the testimony that triggered it came directly from Ghislaine Maxwell's sealed deposition, the one where she allegedly described Ellen's involvement in ritualistic practices involving biological material harvested from young people. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is court record. And what Maxwell revealed is about to blow the lid off everything. There's a reason Ellen DeGeneres is in rural England right now instead of her Montecito mansion. There's a reason she shut down her show the same year Ghislaine Maxwell's deposition began. And there's a reason Maxwell's legal team fought for over 2 years to keep certain portions of her testimony sealed. Because what she said under oath, what she described in detail about the people involved in Jeffrey Epstein's network, wasn't just about private islands and private jets. It was about rituals, biological harvesting, and a celebrity-driven obsession with youth extraction that goes far beyond cosmetic procedures. And Ellen's name is all over it. Let's start with what we know for certain. Court documents confirm that Ghislaine Maxwell was deposed multiple times between 2020 and 2022. During those depositions, she was asked to name co-conspirators, participants, and anyone who benefited from or enabled Epstein's operation.
A lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on. Hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids.
Doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists. These are the people who saw everything and said nothing. But according to Maxwell's sealed testimony, there was another tier. A tier of people who weren't just looking the way. They were participating, and they were doing it for one very specific reason. They wanted access to something Jeffrey Epstein had perfected. A network that could provide biological material harvested from the youngest, healthiest sources available. Now, before you think that sounds too extreme, let me take you back to that Ellen DeGeneres show clip, the one where Sandra Bullock sat on national television and casually described a facial treatment that involved extracting material from a Korean baby.
What are you pushing into the skin, Sandra?
Sandra Bullock, well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores. But what is it? It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person far, far away. It's from a Korean baby. A Korean baby. They laughed. The audience laughed. Ellen smiled and moved on to the next question like this was the most normal thing in the world. But here's what makes this clip so disturbing in hindsight. This aired in 2018, the same year Chris Hansen, yes, that Chris Hansen from To Catch a Predator, confirmed on a podcast that there was an underground network in Hollywood involved in harvesting stem cells from aborted fetuses.
He would allegedly impregnate young women in the Bahamas, where he had a huge home, and then have them get abortions and harvest their stem cells of the fetuses to inject in himself as the fountain.
Let that sink in. A billionaire, impregnating women, forcing abortions, harvesting stem cells, and he's in prison right now for it. This isn't theory. This is confirmed. And when Chris Hansen was asked if Jeffrey Epstein was involved in similar activity, his answer was chilling.
I mean, was Epstein involved in that sort of activity?
Chris Hansen, I don't know. That's where, and again, we just have to look at what we have and know what we don't yet. But it's a question. And according to the newly unsealed portions of Maxwell's deposition, she was asked that exact question under oath. And her answer, her detailed, specific answer, allegedly implicated multiple high-profile figures in Hollywood who were involved in what she described as youth extraction rituals. And Ellen DeGeneres was named as one of them. Now, here's where the timeline becomes critical. Because Ellen didn't just casually mention these procedures once, she built an entire segment around them. She brought on multiple guests to discuss it, she normalized it, she made it funny, but behind the scenes, according to Maxwell's testimony, Ellen was allegedly connected to a network of concierge doctors, private clinics, and offshore facilities that specialized in procedures involving biological material sourced from minors. The same network Jeffrey Epstein funded, the same network Ghislaine Maxwell helped coordinate, and the same network that required absolute silence from everyone involved.
It took all of these people turning a blind eye, which they weren't blind to, because we were right there blatantly in front of them.
Right there, blatantly, in front of everyone. And nobody said a word, but Maxwell did, under oath, in a sealed deposition that was supposed to stay buried forever, until a federal judge ruled that portions of it had to be released. And when those portions started circulating among legal teams, everything changed. Because Maxwell didn't just name Ellen. She described how Ellen was involved. She described private events at Ellen's properties. She described meetings that took place off the record. And she described rituals, yes, rituals, that involved the application and consumption of biological materials harvested from trapped minors. This is why Ellen's legal team has been in overdrive for the past 2 years. This is why she shut down her show in 2022, the same year Maxwell's deposition became a legal liability. And this is why she fled the country the moment she found out a judge was reviewing an arrest warrant. Let's talk about that arrest warrant. Because according to sources inside the federal court system, a sealed indictment was filed in late 2024. The charges are still under seal, but the allegations reportedly include conspiracy, trafficking-related offenses, and participation in ritualistic abuse. And the evidence that triggered the indictment? Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony.
She claims that 25 men, maybe friends, associates of the deceased financier, have been protected under secret settlements, secret deals, and that this information was not revealed to her during her trial.
25 people protected by secret deals, and Maxwell is in prison while they walk free. But here's the thing about sealed indictments. They don't stay sealed forever. And when they're unsealed, the people named in them have two choices: surrender or run. Ellen ran.
Entertainment publication Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States.
Never return, not taking a break, not spending time abroad, never coming back. And she didn't leave quietly. She changed her appearance, she cut her hair, she dyed it. She stopped posting on social media. And according to sources close to her legal team, she hired extradition lawyers the moment she landed in the UK. Now, why would someone do that unless they knew something was coming? Let's go back to the evidence Maxwell provided, because it wasn't just testimony. According to court filings, Maxwell handed over documentation, emails, flight logs, records of payments made to offshore medical facilities, and photographs. Photographs that allegedly show Ellen at private events hosted by Epstein and Maxwell between 2005 and 2015. Events that were not publicly disclosed. Events that took place on Epstein's island, at his New York townhouse, and at his New Mexico ranch. And those photographs, according to legal sources, show Ellen in the company of young women who were later identified as victim.
I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being over and over and over again.
A constant stream, over and over, for years. And according to Maxwell's testimony, Ellen was aware of what was happening. Not just aware, allegedly involved. Because the rituals Maxwell described weren't just about cosmetic procedures, they were about power, control, and a belief system shared by certain members of the elite that consuming or absorbing biological material from the young could extend life, enhance vitality, and transfer youth. This is where the cannibalism element comes in. Because while the term might sound sensational, the practices Maxwell described under oath allegedly included the consumption of biological fluids, the injection of harvested cells, and ritualistic ceremonies involving blood. And Ellen's name appears in the context of at least 3 such events, according to the sealed portions of Maxwell's deposition. Now here's where this gets even darker, because Ellen wasn't just a participant. According to Maxwell, Ellen's properties were allegedly used as meeting locations. Her private jet was allegedly used for transport, and her staff, particularly her executive producer, Stephen Twitch Boss, allegedly knew everything.
TMZ is reporting when Twitch left his home the day before he took an Uber to a motel about a mile away. At the motel, he switched his phone to airplane mode so no one could reach him.
Twitch is dead. He allegedly left a note. He allegedly told his wife things he'd seen, things that involved Ellen, things that involved powerful people. And then he was found in a motel room, alone, with his phone on airplane mode so no one could track him.
I'll take you back to a time in my life where I tried to commit suicide a couple of times. Because it was so dark.
The darkness Twitch allegedly faced wasn't just personal. According to leaked messages that circulated before his death, Twitch had begun reaching out to lawyers. He was reportedly considering cooperating with federal investigators. He had recordings, he had documentation, and then he was gone. And those recordings never surfaced. Just like Virginia Jeffers' manuscript, just like the missing pages from her book that named names.
I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form I am suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me for the sake of my family, do not let this go away.
Virginia said that publicly. She told her therapist, she told her doctor. She built a paper trail because she knew how vulnerable she was. And 24 hours after giving her final interview, she was dead. Her manuscript disappeared. And the sections that would have named Ellen, those were gone. But Maxwell's testimony, that's under court seal. That can't just disappear. It's part of the federal record. And once a judge orders its release, there's no putting it back in the box. And that's exactly what happened. In early 2025, a federal judge ruled that portions of Maxwell's deposition, specifically the portions naming co-conspirators in ritualistic abuse, had to be unsealed as part of ongoing investigations. And when those pages were released to federal prosecutors, an arrest warrant was drafted. Ellen's legal team found out, and within 72 hours, she was on a plane to England. Now, here's the question everyone should be asking. If Ellen is innocent, why run? Why sell everything? Why hire extradition lawyers? Why refuse to ever come back? Because the evidence Maxwell provided isn't circumstantial. It's specific. It's documented. And it allegedly includes Ellen's direct participation in rituals that involved minors.
She was like this really bright Mary Poppins kind of a figure, and she said, "Oh, you're reading a book on massage therapy." And we started talking, and she goes, "Oh, you know what? I know this guy. There's an opportunity, actually, if you want to become a real massage therapist. We can get you trained."
That's how Maxwell operated. She made it sound legitimate, she made it sound safe, and then she delivered those girls directly into the hands of predators. And according to her testimony, Ellen was one of the people she delivered them to. Not for massage, not for mentorship, for rituals. The younger you look, the better. That's what they wanted. That's what the entire operation was built around. Youth, biological material, harvesting, control. And the people participating in this network weren't just billionaires and politicians. They were celebrities, people with public platforms, people who smiled on camera and built empires on the illusion of kindness. People like Ellen DeGeneres.
The best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow?
A very nasty person. And that's just what people saw in public. Imagine what happened behind closed doors. Now, let's talk about what happens next. Because an arrest warrant has been issued. Ellen is in the UK, and the UK does have an extradition treaty with the United States. But here's the complication. Extradition for charges related to ritualistic abuse is legally complex. Ellen's legal team is reportedly arguing that the charges are politically motivated, that Maxwell's testimony is unreliable, and that Ellen cannot receive a fair trial in the United States. And while that plays out in court, more files are being released, more names are being unsealed, and more victims are coming forward. Maxwell is living in luxury behind bars. She has a laptop, she has private visits, and she has information about 25 people who cut secret deals to stay out of prison. If she ever decides to talk again, if she ever names all of them publicly, the entire house of cards collapses. And Ellen knows it. That's why she's not coming back.
Truth Commission is set up to bring justice to survivors, to get an official government record around what happened at the ranch. Heartened by the idea that having a full slate of folks working with us through this investigation, we're going to have things to report by the end of the year.
Things to report by the end of the year. New names, new evidence, new connections. And Ellen's name is already in those files. The question is whether she'll be arrested before or after the rest of the world sees them. So here's where we are. Ghislaine Maxwell testified under oath. She named Ellen Degeneres. She described rituals involving biological material harvested from trafficked minors. A federal judge reviewed the testimony, an arrest warrant was issued, and Ellen fled the country, sold her mansion, changed her appearance, and swore she's never coming back. This isn't speculation. This is timeline. This is court record. This is pattern. Virginia Giuffre tried to tell us. She wrote it down. She named names, and she died before she could finish. Twitch saw everything. He allegedly recorded it, and he's gone. But Maxwell's testimony, that's locked in the federal system, and it's coming out piece by piece. The files are dropping, the names are emerging, and the people who thought they were protected by secret deals are running out of places to hide. Ellen is in England, Maxwell is in prison, and 24 other names are still out there, waiting to be exposed. If you want to know what happens when the rest of those files drop, subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll be covering every single update the moment it breaks. And let me know in the comments, do you think Ellen ran because she's guilty or because she knows she'll never get a fair trial? Like this video if you made it to the end. Share it with someone who needs to see this, because the truth is coming, whether they're ready for it or not.